Hi, my name is Lyle Turner, and this is my director's commentary for The Ceremony, a wonderful digital play written by Iman Qureshi. First of all, the location for this shoot was an interesting choice. We wanted something that looked like a venue where a ceremony would take place, but not something that was a church or a traditional venue, more something that was a little bit contemporary and which would fit the story that was about to unfold. So we've got this nice glass ceiling in here and a bare brick walls and ivy I think we added growing up the wall, and yeah, it looks nice and contemporary.
We are here today to celebrate your union, Raf.
And in this opening sequence we've got Erica Poole, who's playing the officiant, giving us a very nice performance, wearing a nice blue jacket by our that belongs to our producer's mother. And actually, speaking of costume, you can see that we've gone for kind of tonal blues and purples in the costume designers. This is a colour that we kind of associate with sadness. So as this turns out to be quite a sad story, that was the reason behind those choices.
And life and love.
Yaz, who's playing Raf, is wearing a suit of their own that they brought to the production.
Stomachs till we cried. Never let anyone do
And Amaka, who's playing Esther, is also wearing a dress of her own, but she in close consultation with Carl, our costume designer, it's been accessorized very nicely to give it a kind of more formal look. It's quite a challenging look to find one which is halfway between casual and halfway between ceremonial for a contemporary service like this. So it was quite an interesting challenge, but I think they both turned out really nicely. So after we've had Erica's initial introduction to the subject, we've then got Yaz, who's playing Raf, giving their first set of vows of separation, as they turn out to be.
It's where I struggled with an eating.
I knew from the first audition with Yaz that they were the right persons for the job.
Never really knew.
Very important that we had a trans or non-binary actor play this role for authenticity, and as soon as we auditioned Yaz, it was clear that they were perfect. And I think as you watch this, you can immediately see when we go from a kind of light-hearted braggadocio kind of approach to a real authentic portrayal of pain, which is, it's moving. Great grin. Yeah, has as well. And one of the things you'll notice that we've got a really beautiful look from cinematographer Ahmet Hussain, and there's a bit of texture he's put in the air, bit of mist we put in the air, just to give it that nice soft feel. Beautiful old lenses that we shot this on, very delicately lit. It's kind of heightened naturalism, and that you'll notice on the shots where Amaka playing Esther is listening to Raf, that if you pay close attention you'll see there's a slight difference in frame rate. So we actually shot them at 33 1/3 frames per second and slowed them down just a touch. And the reason we did that was, again, we wanted this kind of sense of heightened naturalism. We'd looked at some Barry Jenkins films as references for this, and wanted that kind of liquid emotional feel that you get, and for the moments to kind of draw out. And just by adding that touch of slow-mo on these listening shots when the characters aren't speaking, you just get a sense of it being loaded with emotion. And obviously the emotion is starting to really, by this point, is really starting to land. And we're starting to realise that actually this isn't a marriage in a conventional sense. This is the end of a marriage, the end of a relationship. And you can just see the hurt building in increments in the eyes of both the actors. Lovely performances. Really nice in the way that they held the emotion. Sometimes we'll see a bit of humour. And then a bit of a bit of sadness, a bit of pain will come out, a bit of anger, and then they'll pull that back. So it's kind of comes in these little kind of waves of feeling as they present themselves.
Refusals to talk.
constant guilt
Particularly, Amaka and I had discussed
about therapy.
at length, that process of how an audience, it's much more satisfying for an audience as if you don't just come in at full steam, with an emotion that you hint at it and then you develop it and then finally you release it, so that the audience has become increasingly invested and senses it coming, so their anticipation builds their intensity of reaction to it once it actually occurs. So as Amaka, playing Esther, starts this speech, she plays it quite straight. There's a little bit of light humour in it, there's some laughter, there's some smiling, but then little by little there'll be hints of the emotion, the depth of the emotion, the depth of the sadness at the parting that's underneath,
I'll miss holidays together.
starting to register now on both their faces.
We stayed in. Miss.
And then it'll build until the finale of the speech, when she can, till the climax of the speech, when she can really let go of it. Beautiful acting by both actors here.
Just about anyone.
Really challenging when there's nowhere to hide. We're looking right at their faces.
The way.
Ahmet's on a suspension handheld rig, so he can just really stay with them, and just he's reacting to them in the moment as they're speaking, so that you get the feeling of somebody really actively listening. The camera's, the eyes of the audience, and here it really feels as if Ahmet, who is operating, is giving us a sense of listening intently to the speaker, and that draws you into their world. That draws you into their emotion.
Guardian blind date on my phone and read it to you.
But there's nowhere to hide for the actors. Every second you're being scrutinised intently here. So lovely consistency of performance from both actors. One of the things you need to do when Ahmet and I were discussing when you're operating camera on this is you need to breathe in the right time with the actors, so that your movement kind of catches the rhythm of their movements, so the audience doesn't notice that you're filming, as it were. You'll notice that there's real shallow depth of field to the picture as well, very much just on the face and the eyes of the actors, and that every now and again it'll just drift in and out of focus, again just heightening the sense of emotion, and just putting you right in that space with them, as if you yourself were standing opposite them. I mean, the real strength of this piece is the words as well. I mean, it's such a wonderful script by Iman that we just had to catch it. We had to catch it, let the actors do their thing. And as Amaka's reaching the kind of climax of her speech here, the tears start to roll, all completely genuine, didn't need any help from us, just good acting. It's a heartbreaking story, heartbreakingly honest. One of the most moving things I tend to find in any kind of writing is honesty. So we've reached the end of the goodbyes, an incredibly decent and humane goodbye that both the characters have said to each other. And so this is a beautiful bit of editing at the end here. The exchange of ring sequence. Flora, we shot them as independent sequences, as if one would happen after the other, but then it was slowing down the script too much at the end. So I asked Flora, the editor, to intercut them. And she just did a beautiful job. Very light touch, drawing the moment out, making it redolent with emotion. And then we bring in a bit of ceremonial diegetic music at the end as they come to kiss each other goodbye. More slow-mo, just a hint of slow-mo. Beautiful lighting again, and then a little track back to say goodbye to the characters as they say goodbye to each other. The empty chairs of the people who didn't come to mark the disavowal. And that's it. Beautiful script.